Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh jami'an. This is Abu Baraa Muhammad Amriki here. For anybody who know, as I've been saying for a while, Facebook always targeting me. So I'm off of Facebook. And if anybody viewing this video, most likely you're going to be viewing on YouTube and uh, Twitter, and maybe another, or on our website, Black American Muslim Opinions. But to this afternoon, I really want to speak about the double standards in the media when it comes to the media coverage, white on white crime versus black on black crime, and the contradictions in the media and showing the news is the ending results of the news reports, or the ending results of the outcome of the different coverage. Now, recently, we have witnessed um, a criminal by the name of Robert Crimo III, who shot multiple people and killed multiple white people, which is white on white crime. And when we have incidents of black on black crime, which I live in New York State, in the five boroughs of New York, and every day on the news, there is a lot of death, gun violence, and predominantly it is black on black crime. And other democratic states that these incidents happen, such in other places within the U.S. When it comes to black on black crime, where we see in also in Chicago, here on the East Coast, also Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. Uh, so when there is black on black crime versus white on white crime in the media, is that when the media speaks about white on white crime, they look into more details. One of the first observation that I notice is that they get deep into the people of interest or the person of interest, uh, meaning who is their father, who's their mother, who's their parents, why this certain crime happened, where did the individual go wrong, or where did the family go wrong, or where did the police go wrong, where did the school go wrong. I mean, they get deep into analyzing the incidents and appear to stop it from happening again or repeating these type of incidents. So they would say, for example, when it's white on white crime and these incidents happen, they're going to say we need to change some of the gun laws. How can we get guns out of the hands of white people who are mentally ill? So when a white person commits a crime against another white person, the first thing they look at it if the person is mentally ill or not. These are the excuses that they give the whites. These are the different type of excuses they give them in their analysis. That's from the media, all right? And then they start having discussions, whether the discussions are political driven, Democrats against Republicans, or whatever. They have these discussions, even though they are political driven. When it comes to white on white crime, is that okay? But how do we prevent it from happening? Whether a political group, they might say the Republicans, they need to change, or need to come together and change some of the gun laws to keep guns out of mentally ill white people's hands, right? And then they would go on other discussions and deeper discussions when they get into the legal system, where they try to use the legal system to adapt or mandate some type of laws or prevention through law enforcement, to prevent certain white individuals from getting guns, or when certain incidents are happening to them, that it's recorded to prevent them from buying certain type of firearm, where they have now that individuals who wants to buy firearms must go through some form of mental health evaluation. especially if a person has also domestic violence in their cases. They're not able to buy a gun at a particular time, or the person has to go through some type of red tape and background through law enforcement, right? So white people in the white media discuss about these things, right? And it seems to try to prevent the incident happening, right? So you will see this in the discussion right now when they talk about the murderer, Robert Crimo III. This is a lot of the discussion coming from mainstream media, right? Because he killed a lot of white people. So this is some of the discussions where we know that they're not going to change any real gun laws as part of the American core of American Constitution. So you're not really going to do that. The right to bear arms, they're not going to really challenge these things or make any amendments, but they might look at different approaches when it comes to law enforcement when they have incidents with people or people reporting to law enforcement when some of these white kids start developing these odd and bad behaviors that is troublesome or could provincially be a hardship or lost life in the white community. So these discussions are there, right? And the mechanism to prevent them are put there. Now, when we talk about black on black crime and what happens in the black community, first, it appears that when there's black on black crime and it's discussed on the media, is first it appears to be it is something that is a nuisance, where it's so common on the news or so common in a particular area, especially here in New York and Chicago, where the people become norm. Never do they look into how to change any type of thing that's going to prevent individuals, except for giving blacks more time in prison, give them more time in prison, um, uh, uh, taking away bail from them. Well, you notice when white people commit crimes, they're not talking about giving white people more time in prison. They're not even speaking about bail reform. When white people go out and massacre and kill other white people, when white people actually go out and kill other black people, they do not talk about these things. Only when they talk about black on black crime is about how can you give them more time, more black people time in prison, how to give harder laws and harder sentences in prison. But when it speaks about white people committing crime like Robert Primo III, nothing was mentioned in the media about how to give him more time in prison or the death penalty. Matter of fact, they are looking at due process for him, and hopefully that they are looking for him not getting the death penalty, which might not be in that particular state. If they really wanted to change the laws pertaining to a particular person, Robert Grimo, they need to talk about the death penalty to prevent the crime, but they're not going to speak about death penalty, right? When they talk about these mass shooters who are white shooting other white people or non-whites, people of color. But when we talk about black on black crimes, the first thing from the media is discussing the criminal behavior of the individual, how broken up his family is. They don't make any excuses for the person. The first thing they talk about is, does he has a criminal record? That's the first thing they look for. They look for reasons to demonize the individuals. When it comes to gun reform, they just talk about how to give them more time in prison. And this is how the media talks and speak about other black people who commit crime against black people, is how to put more of them in prison. It's not about how do they get the illegal guns, because we know that black people do not manufacture guns. So they're not going to talk about how to get the guns out their hands, holding people accountable from the gun manufacturer, right? They're going to talk about how to give them more time in prison. That doesn't solve any of the issues that cause black on black crime. And we look deep into the issues that cause black on black crime is it is because the lack of finances, economy, or economics. Black people doesn't have the type of economics that the white community have, and that's due to the U.S. government boycotting and preventing and have prevented historically black people from economics to keep them at bay, so they cannot be somebody who can make money and they could compete with the white society in dominance in the U.S. It is to keep black people further behind. So when we look at the media and politics and politicians, especially the Democratic politicians, that they're the one who speak there for justice for people of color and black people, but they be the masterminder behind of causing more crime, not finding real solutions, not looking for the root of the problem, which everybody know what is the root of the problem, because they're about tokenism and not making real changes. And when we look at the white on white crime from the media and politicians, they just look to who's to blame, what is the failing mechanism that caused this, and let's try to make a little red tape for certain white people who have mentally illness to get prevent them from getting the gun. Well, how to get them some mental health services, and they really don't make any laws to prevent them from getting guns. Even though when they look into the analysts from the media perspective, they say, well, how does this person who have such a bad social media talk about violence, killing people, how he's able to buy weapons? When a black person who talks about Malcolm X or Martin Luther King Jr. or the Black Panther, he's censored on social media. But the white kid, such as Robert Cremo III, could make videos talking about killing people, and it's not censored on social media. Just want to throw that in there. So when we look at the media and it comes and they look or analyze, or when we analyze the media or the white media, how they try to whitewash their murderers and their crime, and they try to criminalize black people as being criminal, and don't look at the scenario and the situation why black peoples are in the condition they are in. That's due to white racists, the same white racists who own the media, the same white racists who own the media, the same white racists who control the politics, the same white racists who control the banks and the financial institution in the U.S., the same white racists who control the court system, the legal system. Black people don't control the court system. Black people don't control law enforcement. So this is why we see when it comes to white on white crime and people like Robert Cremo III, why he slipped through the system, because the system was made for whites for whites. It's made by whites for whites. And then when the media talk about how did this guy Robert Cremo III slipped through the system, because the system was made for whites. It was designed for them to behave this way. It is designed for them and to protect them and to give them the privilege to do these things. That's the purpose of being white and having privilege in America. That's why the black man, gentleman, Jalen Walker, who was unarmed, shot by police, shot at 90 times by the police, and 60 bullets hit his body. He didn't commit any crime and have no record. But Robert Cremo III, who has a violent history on social media, talks about killing and hurting people, who have incidents with the police and the family calling police on him, he's able to legally go and buy guns. And police, when they arrested him after he killed about 7 people, hurting a dozen more, he's able to be apprehended by the police with not even one shot fired, because the police see him as white privilege, and white privilege have the due process, because due process was made for white people as part of having white privilege. Where Jalen Walker, who's running from the police, and police shoot him 90 times and hit him 60 times, he's guilty just for being black. He's guilty. He's proven to be guilty. And his due process is not important. And that's why they shoot at him 90 times with 60 bullets hitting him. And Robert Crimo III is taken in by the police without a shot being fired. And he have arms and weapons. And he was off. They found him going somewhere else to commit more shootings. This is the America shitty laws, a shitty system. That's what it is. It's American shitty law and shitty system. And it can never be just for anybody of color. And just like other civilization that was like them, sooner or later something's gonna crumble. But I fear that it's not gonna crumble for anybody except for black people, meaning that it's gonna get worse for us in this particular country. But that's my take on the media. When the media talk about white on white crime versus black on black crime, they have two different agendas.